Hi everybody, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be doing my March book haul. So in March I ended up buying a ton of manga and not a lot of actual books, but if I included all the manga in this video it would be so long, so I'm thinking I'm going to do two separate hauls for that. And in today's video I'm just going to be showing you all of the books I bought in March. I only have 9 books here to show you because since I'm moving really soon I wanted to kind of lower the amount of physical unread books I have to transport from place to place. So let's just go ahead and hop into these books that I have to show you. Most of them came from Half Price Books because where I'm moving, the state I'm moving to, doesn't have the Half Price franchise, so I'm really devastated by that, and I'm taking total advantage of that store while I still have it in Texas. But yeah, let's just hop into all of these books because I'm super excited about all of them. So the first book I have here is The Black Swan by Mercedes Lackey, and this is an author that intrigues me to no end because she has the most gorgeous book covers ever. I absolutely love the artwork on all of her books, but a lot of her trilogies and stuff are all interconnected, so it's kind of intimidating to try and find the starting point. So I ended up just grabbing one of her standalones, which is The Black Swan, and this is a retelling of the Swan Lake story. I have a feeling I'm really going to like this because Swan Lake is one of my favorite stories of all time. So I'm interested to see how this author's writing style works and her take on the Swan Lake story. The next book that I have is A Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst, and this is a book that's just getting so many good reviews and positive reviews here on BookTube and Goodreads. And this is an LGBT young adult fantasy novel that centers around Princess Denna, who is engaged to be married to a prince of another kingdom, but unfortunately for her, this kingdom she's marrying into forbids the use of magic. And Denna has the ability to control fire. So not only does she have to marry this prince that she doesn't know, she also has to control her magic use while also learning to ride this kingdom's giant war horses that they're famous for. Denna's teacher in the horseback riding is actually her betrothed sister, Princess Mare. And what starts as kind of an unfriendly rivalry soon blossoms into a romance between these two princesses. I think that sounds utterly adorable. I love books that have elemental magic as a part of the story, and I think this has the potential to be a really great young adult fantasy novel, so I'm really excited about this one. Next, I picked up my own copy of The Accident Season by Moira Fowley Doyle. I loved this. I read it last year. It was one of my favorite books of 2017, but I had only borrowed it from the library, so I didn't actually own my own copy. So when I saw a brand new hardback copy at half price, I wanted to pick it up so I could have this in my collection. This book follows a family who every October becomes very accident prone, and some Octobers are worse than others. There have been some where people only get paper cuts and bruises, and then others where people have died. And this year the family's trying to figure out just what this curse is. It is written in the most beautiful, lyrical, eerie way, and it's this gorgeous magical realism story with a little bit of paranormal. I love this book so much, and I'm so happy that I finally have it in my collection. Next, I was super excited when I found a copy of All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater at half price. This is a book I've wanted to pick up for a while, but just never got around to it, but when I saw it for such a cheap price, I had to get it. I don't really know more about this book other than it has to do with these 3 cousins who have the ability to work miracles, and Maggie Stiefvater is one of my favorite writers within YA, so I really like going into her books not knowing much because she always ends up surprising me, and her writing is so beautiful and she is great at creating characters, so I have a feeling I'm going to love this, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to save it for closer to Halloween because it kind of gives me those vibes, but I'm just super excited to have a copy of this, and I can't wait to get to it whenever that is. Another book I can't wait to get to, but I also don't know too much about, is Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. I read Cruel Beauty by this author a few years ago and really liked it, and that was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is a Red Riding Hood retelling, and that's pretty much all I know about it, but I loved Cruel Beauty. I loved the writing style. I loved the atmosphere that Rosamund was able to create in her book, and I've not yet read a Red Riding Hood retelling that I actually have liked, so I have a lot of high expectations for this one, and if it's as good as I thought Cruel Beauty was, then I'm sure I'll really like it, so I'm excited to have found this one there as well. Next, I picked up Mayhem by Sarah Pinborough, and this really intrigued me when I read the synopsis. So this book is focusing on the Thames torso murders of 1888, and these murders, these torsos, started appearing in the River Thames only a couple days after Jack the Ripper killed 2 prostitutes in one night. Originally, these torsos were attributed to him, but now historians and scholars think they were separate killers. In this book, we're following a police surgeon named Dr. Thomas Bond, who is tasked with figuring out who is committing these murders. And I'm just super intrigued by this. I really love Jack the Ripper and that whole time period of London crime. So to have a book that's focusing on a different series of murders that a lot of people don't even really know about is really intriguing to me, and I'm excited to see how the author handles this story. The last book I picked up from Half Price is probably the one I'm most excited about, and when I saw it, it was like an instant buy for me, and that is The Looking Glass House by Vanessa Tate. So this book, first off, is gorgeous. I love the cover, but it's written by Alice Liddell's only great-granddaughter, and this book is based on her own research and also family stories that were passed down to her. In this book, Vanessa's telling the story of Mary Prickett, who was the Liddell sisters' governess. And through the Liddell sisters, she meets Charles Dodgson, or Lewis Carroll, and she becomes very infatuated with him. She kind of sees a life with Charles as a way out of her mundane life as a governess. But obviously we know that Charles' true interest lies with Alice Liddell primarily, and his writing of the Wonderland story for her. So in order to shift the focus away from Alice and onto herself, Mary starts taking more desperate actions. I'm really excited to read this because it's a part of like Wonderland lore and the history behind that book that I've never personally read about or researched, and I'm really excited to know that it's written by someone who is actually related to Alice and partly based on family stories. I think that's super cool, and I'm really excited to own this book. I can't wait to read it, and I just know I'm going to love it when I get to it. So the last 2 books I have in this haul are both Penguin Dropcap books. I almost have the entire alphabet, so I'm just super excited about that, but the 2 that I picked up in March were Candide, or Optimism by Voltaire, and Leaves of Grass and Selected Poems and Prose by Walt Whitman. So I know that both of these are really popular required reading books. A lot of people have read them in school, but I missed out on both of these in school, and I'm just super excited to have both of them and have a chance to read them now. I know that Candide is a social satire set during the French Revolution, and it really is about how the French monarchy treated the general populace. I've heard that it's hilarious and very unkind to the French monarchy, but mostly I am excited to read this book because I love things that are set during that time period, and I love reading French literature from the Revolutionary period, so I have a feeling I'm really going to enjoy this one. And then I honestly don't really know much about Walt Whitman. I'm not a big poetry person. I don't think I've ever really read a poetry collection outside of Edgar Allan Poe that I've enjoyed. So I am excited to have Leaves of Grass and be exposing myself to something that's different. Walt Whitman's a really famous American poet, and his emphasis is primarily on nature and man's connection to nature. So I like that subject. I feel like I might enjoy this. I'm excited to have something different to try, and I'm looking forward to giving Walt Whitman a go and seeing if I enjoy reading his poetry. And yeah, those are all of the books that I bought in March, so not too bad. I am really excited about all of them. I think I found some really great gems at Half Price, and then the 2 Penguin Dropcaps both seem pretty intriguing to me, so I am looking forward to getting into all of these books soon. They're all pretty high up on my TBR because I'm just really excited about all of them. And yeah, let me know what you bought in March that you're most excited to read, because I always like going through my comments and reading all of your guys' recommendations. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel to keep up with all of my upcoming videos. I hope that you guys are all having a great day and reading nothing but wonderful books. I will see you guys all in my next video soon. Bye everybody!